As we grow up, we all develop a sense of our own identity based on what we find we can do, what we're interested in, and this leads to a sense of our value and meaning to others, and how we see our future. The development of our identity is a continuing process as we interact with people, engage in activities and learn from our experiences at home, at school and in the community. A positive sense of identity is linked to positive self-esteem, which can lead to many good things, such as a sense of belonging and feeling included in many settings. Students with disabilities face many challenges in this and other areas. Any prejudicial or discriminatory attitudes they may experience can lead to feelings of unworthiness, and this can often lead to negative educational and social outcomes. Having a positive sense of identity doesn't mean the student won't experience hardship, sadness or a sense of failure at times, but it will help them cope with daily challenges and keep things in perspective. It's critical, therefore, that as educators we do all we can to foster a supportive atmosphere at school and help students with disabilities reach their full potential. Our sense of identity comes from various sources, and we'll take a look at ways to provide support with each of these. Having a positive sense of self involves having a realistic view of one's abilities, needs and preferences in various areas. This figure shows the various selves that together can make us who we are. To cultivate a positive sense of self, it's a good idea to talk to children about the idea that the whole self is the sum total of different selves. They can then go on to identify the various selves that are a part of them and acknowledge their abilities in each of these areas. In the manual, there are examples of worksheets you could provide your students to help them identify their abilities, needs and interests in each of these selves. To cultivate a positive sense of competence in the context of daily routines, activities and interactions, it's important to provide the student with the necessary supports so that they're set up for success, such as providing the student with the opportunity to gradually increase their level of participation in activities that they find challenging. The student may begin as an observer of an activity, then move on to partial participation, leading eventually to complete participation. Try and identify the least amount of prompting required to teach a skill, from full physical assistance through to just verbal encouragement, reducing the amount of assistance as the student learns the skill. Provide repeated practice of the skills before progressing onto the next skill. Remember to give them the opportunity to reflect on what they're doing so that they attribute their competence to the results of their skills, effort and perseverance. Self-advocacy, the ability to represent one's views or interests, is an important self-enabling skill through which empowerment, access to the environment and learning can become a reality. Students can find this hard for various reasons, including limited communication skills, poor self-concept and limited social skills. Also, many students may have not been allowed to make decisions for themselves, so don't have the skills to make choices or decisions. Some students don't even see self-determination as an option and instead have learned to comply without questioning. Students with disabilities should be provided with specific instruction to develop and cultivate self-advocacy skills. The worksheets in the manual offer suggestions on how to help the student develop a knowledge of what they need to succeed. With this understanding, you can then guide the student to advocate for themselves. Connectedness means having a sense of belonging, that is, the feeling of being valued, accepted and included in the social setting they are in. Interaction with others influences how a student views themselves, how they interact with others now and in the future. It also sets up their expectations for successful interactions or rejections. Teachers can play a significant role in influencing and shaping their students' identity. When teachers form positive bonds with students, classrooms become supportive spaces in which students can engage in academically and socially productive ways. To promote a sense of connectedness in mainstream classrooms, we can use the Circle of Connections. It's made up of a group of students who are intentionally invited to come together in friendship to support the student with disability so that their dreams of being connected have a better chance of becoming a reality. Once the students who would like to assist in this way have been identified, set a meeting time where you can begin the program. As a group, discuss with all the invited students the importance of friendships and what it would be like not to have friends. Draw 3 concentric circles as shown here to guide the discussion. Instead of circles, you could use a different shape, such as a rectangle or a square. A positive sense of purpose involves doing things that the individual believes are important and meaningful for themselves and others. To cultivate a positive sense of purpose, we need to create opportunities for the student to engage in things that are important and meaningful to them, by creating times when the student can engage in their special interest and by showing genuine interest and engaging with them in this special interest. To develop a positive sense of future, students need to feel that they have some measure of control over the things that happen to them. To help this, identify things they like and are interested in, and use their likes and interests as guides for choice making, decision making and goal setting. Help the students focus on the positives in a situation and recognise they always have options.
Okay, ready, set, go!
The manual contains worksheets that can be used to help students identify what they would like their future to look like and set goals accordingly. When you return to the menu on this DVD, you'll see a button labelled Josh's Story. This story is a real-life example of how Deb has been able to foster a positive identity in her son Josh by following his interests, creating a support group, and encouraging Josh to develop his skills.